Welcome back to the Hoosiers, where we talk about Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. Tonight we're doing a recap on the lineup for Canada soccer for this World Cup qualifying window in October, as well as a preview of the next three games for Canada in this October window, which involves the games against Mexico, Jamaica, and Panama. And so, before we even talk into the lineup, I want to talk about this as well as why I'm going to be talking about the three games, which is something I normally don't do here. The reason why is I'm going to be trying to make this video as equal length as the U.S. lineup video that's going to be released shortly after, and maybe I might do a pregame or preview for that one as well. But I don't know. We'll see how things go. But before I talk about the lineup, I do want to mention that this lineup was actually released yesterday, but due to the holiday yesterday, which, by the way, it was the first inaugural Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada, which honors the lives of the Indigenous communities that have been affected by the residential schooling systems up here in Canada. That has delayed the release of this lineup, which is why the lineup was released today. And so, without further ado, I am going to read a statement to you guys, and you guys are going to be able to see this too, from Canada Soccer that shows the recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Day yesterday. And so here it is. In recognition of the first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, Canada Soccer joins Canadians from coast to coast to honor the lost children and survivors of residential schools, their families, and communities. We encourage all Canadians to wear orange and raise awareness of this very tragic legacy of residential schools, and to honor the thousands of survivors. Canada Soccer will not publish any content on our channels on September 30th, which was yesterday, in commemoration of the tragic and painful history and ongoing impacts of these residential schools. So that is why Canada Soccer did not release the lineup yesterday. And I was kind of looking for that too. I was like, the window was getting pretty close, right? And so I kind of knew it. It was like, it's a national holiday. I don't think Canada's going to release it today. So therefore, here we are tonight, with the lineup. And so now I'm going to read into the lineup, and you guys are going to see this too. So for the most part, as I mentioned, it is unchanged, but there are a few names I am going to point out later on in the video. But right now, let's lead off the list of names. We have Samuel Adekugbe, Milan Boyan, Zachary Borghiard, Charles Brim, by the way, which is one of the names we're going to be talking about, Tejan Buchanan, Lucas Cavallini, Derek Cornelius, Maxime Crepeau, Jonathan David, Alfonso Davies, Stefan Eustachio, Leon Fraser, Donnell Henry, Junior Hoylett, Atiba Hutchinson, Alistair Johnson, Mark Anthony Kay, Kyle Laren, Richie Larea, Leon Miller, Kamal Miller, Jonathan Osorio, James Pantemis, another name, Samuel Piet, Jacob Schaffelberg, by the way, TSC represent, another name we're going to be talking about as well, Stefan Victoria, and David Watherspoon, which is another name we're going to be talking about. So 4 names on this list that I am going to be talking about and going into more depth about, and just how I feel about them being on this lineup and just everything about that. But for the most part, unchanged. Still got your Davies, David, and Kyle Laren and Hoylett. You got your typical lineup, right? So really no surprise from your star players or key players there. But one player or 4 players that did stand out to me was Charles Brim, Jacob Schaffelberg, David Watherspoon, and James Pantemis that all made this list. Jacob Schaffelberg and David Watherspoon and James Pantemis, they are key names. Schaffelberg, he was on the rise. He looked really good. He's been in form for TFC lately, and not really surprised to see him involved in this lineup, but he is one of the quote-unquote new names that we see from your general starting lineup that Canada Soccer would bring up. But here he is, TFC represent. David Watherspoon, I don't know if he was included last lineup, but in September, but either way, he's now included in this lineup. So hopefully he'll get to see him get some playing time as well. course, with Jacob Schaffelberg, I think one of the games against Jamaica maybe or Panama, Jacob Schaffelberg might even start, given how good he's been lately. The game against Mexico, I don't know, maybe, but I think you have a better chance of seeing him against Jamaica or Panama at home. But James Pantemis, I think he's the other keeper. He has brought up Milan Boyan, so maybe he'll get some playing time if, let's say, they're beating the mess out of Jamaica at Jamaica. By the way, I'll talk about that if that happens, right? Or beating the mess out of Panama at home, which is another, I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'll talk about those games in depth later. But James Pantemis, if they do get up to like a 6-0 lead over either of those teams, I think maybe he'll get some time and goal. But the guy I really want to spotlight here is Charles Brim. And Charles Brim, I've heard of his name. I think he got a little playing time in the Stage 1 of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying when Canada was playing all the island teams. I think he got a little playing time there, but for the most part, I didn't really get to know more about him until now. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about him. So Charles Brim, he's a young Canadian on the team that plays his football over in the Netherlands in the Eredivisie League for FC, I think it's, hopefully I don't have to butcher this, but Eindhoven over in the Netherlands. So he is playing top-tier football in Europe, which is always a good thing to see. And I just haven't seen him in a while, and it would be a pleasure to watch him play either of these games, whether it be Mexico, Jamaica, or Panama. Just to see him get some playing time would be just really great to see. And I really, really want to see him play because I think I saw a little bit of him on the island teams, but I'm curious to see what he will do against maybe a little tougher competition, which is something that's really piques everybody's interest, I think, too, that has his eyes on him, and probably noticed that he's one of the players that stands out in this lineup that is not your typical call-up. So maybe we'll get to see some Charles Brim action here in a couple games, but for the most part, the lineup is still the same. You still got David, as I said, your star players. Hopefully they're healthy. I know last time Davies got injured, and he wasn't able to finish out the last game against El Salvador as he had to go back to Germany and nurse the injury. So hopefully this year, not this year, but this window, he'll be able to stay healthy. Everybody can stay healthy, hopefully, because, we still need all hands on deck. As for Canada, they need, they're still trying to make history. So all hands on deck. Everybody, hope they can stay healthy, and this will be great, and hopefully it'll just continue to be a fun team to watch. And that concludes the first portion of the video. The next portion I want to talk about is now making my speculations or even some previews on their next 3 games versus Mexico, Jamaica, and Panama. So they're going to go to Mexico at Estadio Azteca, always a tough place to play. Then they're going to go to Jamaica. I have no idea how they're going to do there. I think Jamaica is a new opponent, it's going to be a new place, definitely a foreign place. So Jamaica, I don't know how much that'll lead to them having the upper leg here, but we'll see how that happens, and I'll talk more about that when I talk about Jamaica. And then finally, Panama at home here at BMO, by the way, which I tried to get tickets for, but Canada Soccer just unfortunately hiked the ticket prices up. Like, quick tangent here. The ticket price when I looked like for a single, it's about $60 in the lower section, and about the same in the upper section. If you want 2 tickets, which I was planning on going with a friend, you're talking about $100. Even in the upper rows. And we all know how, if you've been to BMO in the fall when it's windy on the lakefront, we all know how, especially in October, how not fun that could be. And so I was trying to find some tickets to the lower ends or lower sections. Fortunately, I wasn't able to get supporter section again because they all sold out in the pre-sale, which that just shows how many Canadians want to see this team make history. And it's good to see, though. Good to see. But unfortunately, Canada Soccer, because of that, I think, and because of the demand of the number of people that want to see Canada Soccer make history, they hiked the ticket prices up. Some of the prices you have better deals at seeing the Raptors or Yeah, I don't know about the Maple Leafs, but the Raptors for sure play like $90. I think, according to one of my friends said, that can get you into the lower sections of uh, Scotiabank Arena, I think. And but the Maple Leafs, yeah, I don't know if you're going to get better deals with that compared to Canada Soccer, but for sure the Raptors. But either way, I'm going off on a tangent. Um, but Canada did, the government of Ontario here did announce that Canada Soccer will be allowed to expand capacity, I think, to, I don't know what the exact amount, but it's going to be more than 15,000 from what it has been. So maybe they'll get some more noise in the city, more people there cheering them on, which would always be a sight to see. Um, but without that, I want to go to talk about this Mexico game, at Estadio Azteca. Um, as I said, this is going to be tough. You know, anytime anyone goes to Estadio Azteca, you're playing at altitude, hostile environment, the hostile fans. It's gonna be tough, you know. So it's gonna be really, really just I don't know. You're gonna have to grit one out. Just really, maybe, hopefully, still a point on the road. But anytime in Mexico, this is gonna be arguably the toughest game of the window for Canada. So go anytime. I don't know what lineup they're gonna put besides your Davies, but we're gonna need everybody to step up here and really try and grind out a result, kind of like they did with the United States, last window. Grind out a result, an unfriendly environment. That's the only way I can see them coming out of this. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. To Mexico, but given how they went toe to toe with them in the Gold Cup, I think they can go toe to toe with them anywhere they play them. Especially with this lineup, Canada used their B team or their A minus team in the Gold Cup and only lost 2-1 at the last second to Mexico. I think if they play their cards right with their starting lineup that they have with their A team, maybe things will go in their favor. But that's just speculation. If you ask me to predict a score prediction here, of course I'm going to say I want to see a tie or even a win. But being realistic, I think it might be a 1-0 win for Mexico. I really, as like I said, I hope it's better than that for Canada. But of course, a loss here in Mexico will not be the end of the world. But I think they can go toe to toe with Mexico. So being generous, maybe a 1-1 tie. But with that, we'll have to see. Next game, Canada versus Jamaica at Jamaica. As I mentioned, Canada once again is in foreign territory. Now this time truly foreign territory, as I don't think they've ever been to Jamaica or played on Jamaican soil. So this is going to be a true test, and depending on what lineup Jamaica is allowed to bring, last window they couldn't bring their players from England over or anywhere in Europe because of COVID restrictions. So if that applies again this window, then unfortunately Jamaica might not have that leg up advantage as it seemed that they have. As they really seemed to struggle last winter without their star players. So, even though Canada will be at their place, Jamaica, if they don't have their key players and everybody that they need, might not even have a leg up or it might not even be to their advantage. So, for Canada, this could just be a really, truly neutral game, despite being on hostile territory if they don't have their key players involved. So, that's something we have to keep an eye out for. But my score predictions here, like I said, Canada just gets the job done on the road. As I said, these first two road games are going to be huge for Canada, as they really haven't had that many away games besides the U.S. one. So the USA was a good test, but now we're getting to Mexico and Jamaica and that gritty territory of CONCACAF where you just got to get a result no matter how ugly it is. So now Jamaica, I don't know if the field's going to be brutally bad or whatever it is, but I could easily see this being a game where one wrong bounce could probably lead to the way of Jamaica, which I hope it doesn't, but given the field conditions they may play on, I don't know how, like I said, I don't know what the field conditions like, but you always got to plan against these CONCACAF opponents that field conditions will be horrible. So that's something we're going to keep an eye out for. But overall, I think Canada will do well here. If Canada doesn't blow these guys out, it's going to be a 3-0 win, kind of like El Salvador, I think, in my opinion. A blowout. If they are going to blow them out, it's going to be 6-0. You know, and this is where you're going to see James Pantemis get in net for your second keeper, or any of your reserves players really get on the field. So if this game is not a blowout 6-0, Canada's still going to dominate and win 3-0 on Jamaica's turf. So that's what I have about Jamaica. Finally, the last game against Panama, the game I was talking about earlier where the tickets prices were hiked up. Panama, I think it's going to be similar to like an El Salvador game, honestly, for Canada when they played at BMO. I think Canada is going to dominate possession. They're going to be use their pace to really get all up in Panama's behind. And I really think it's going to be a 2-0, 3-0 win for Canada here at home. Given that they're going to be playing on their own conditions. More fans are going to be in the stadium. Panama, there's going to be a little bit chillier weather maybe. So maybe Panama, that might affect them. But for the most part, Canada being back on home soil is always going to be good news and advantage for Canada. Because as John Herdman says, nobody beats Canada on Canada's soil. And so even Mexico. So I think for Panama, they're going to struggle, especially if it's going to be cold and raining, which I don't know if there's going to be rain, but it might be a little chilly. So if it's going to be cold and rainy like it was when Toronto FC played York, then Panama is going to have a tough time. So that'll work in Canada's favor. But if it's okay conditions with just the chill in the air, Canada's still probably going to be okay. So given this, I think Canada's going to take care of business at home, 2-0. Maybe 3-0 like El Salvador, depending how they play. But I think they're still going to dominate no matter which way you look at it. I mean, so overall, this course of this window, I see a total of 7 points maybe. I mean, they're actually being really generous. I know if we look at the last window, they got 5, right? They tied Honduras, kind of got jobbed there. Tied the United States, which was a huge point on the road, and then you beat El Salvador at home. So they got 5 points. I think they could get 7 here if they really could do it. Maybe even, I don't want to say 9 because Mexico is always tough. But maybe if they put their cards, as I said, play the right cards, maybe they could squeak out a win at Mexico down at Estadio Azteca. But if we're being realistic, I can see 7 points here for Canada. But no game is easy. As I said, last window, I think it was projected they would have 6 points or even 7. They got 5, not that much far, but any game in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying is tough. So points are not easy to come by here. And so even with Panama at home, it's going to be probably tough. Well, just like I expected a tougher game against El Salvador, Panama might be tough, but it might blow the door open like they did against El Salvador. So we'll see. All this is up in the air. But if you ask me what I hope to see, 7 points. 7 points from this October window. And that'll keep you in really good standing, I think, in the top 3 if you just take care of business here. But, as I said, that pretty much does it for both ends of the video. We talked about the lineup. We talked about the new faces and the players I want to see, as well as the speculations and projections on Canada's next 3 window games here in October for the Road to Qatar 2022. And that does it. So if you like this video, make sure you like it, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about it, and also tell all your friends that Canada is still on the journey to 2022 World Cup qualifying for Qatar.